Kukudmino vidhana soda mitva Swayang vare nagnajitim muvaha Tad bhagnamanan api gridyato gyan Jagye kshata shastra brita swashastrai
Kukudmino vidhana sodamitva Swayam varenagnajitim muvaha Tadbhagnamanan apikrityato gyan Yagnik Shatha Shastra Brita Swashastra
Kakudmino vidhana sodamitva Swayam varenagnajitim muvaha Tadbhagnamanan apikrityato gyan Jagnik Shatashastra Shastrai
Kakudmino vidhana sodamitva Swayam varenagnajitim muvaha Tadbhagnamanam apigridhito gyan. Jagnikshata shastra brita swashastrai.
Kukunmino vidhana sodamitva Swayam varenagnajatim muvaha Abhagnamana napigridyato Jagne Shata Shastra Prita Swashastrai.
Bulls. Whose noses were not pierced. The mitzvah doing. Saturday in the open competition. Select the bridegroom. Nagnajati, Princess Nagnajati, Vivaha, married. Tat Bhagnamanam. In that way, all who were disappointed. He, even though Vijitaha wanted again fools, Shagman killed and wounded. Akshataha without being wounded. Shashtrataha included all weapons. Shashtrataha I had no weapons. Translation. So during 7 bulls, the roses were pierced. The Lord shaved the hand of Princess Nagnajati in the open competition to select her bridegroom. Although the Lord was victorious, his competitors asked the hand of Princess, and unless there was a fight, one coach was don't kill the one by them. But himself was not hurt. I can say a few things about this Samavara. Nagnajati is one of the 8 principal queens of Lord Krishna. He had 16,108 queens altogether. But the first 8, well, not necessarily first, all of them. That may have, because the 8 primary queens were princesses, and their position was very exalted. They were the most beautiful princesses and most qualified from the greatest families, etc. The 16,100 princes were all accepted by the Lord in one huge batch. And but each of these other 8 queens was selected by a unique battle or competition. So this competition, the father of the princess wanted to find the most qualified prince or king for his daughter to marry. Since she was most qualified, he wanted the most qualified man. So the competition was he had 7 bulls. These were fierce bulls. They couldn't stand the smell of human beings. They were mad when they smelled human beings. And they had no piercing of the nose. That means there's no way to control a bull whose nose is not pierced. If you want to control a bull, you have to pierce his nose, put the rope through the nose. Then he'll go where you want. But they didn't do that, and these weren't. So they were just, couldn't control them. And people, men who tried, big Kshatriyas came and tried to win her hand before. And they got up there, and the bulls would just tear them apart. So it was a ghastly scene, bloody scene. All these other princes and kings tried. So Krishna, it was his turn. But he divided himself into 7. He had that unique ability. Yogeshvara. He's the supreme mystic. He has mystic powers more than anyone. But he divided himself into 7, and each Krishna took 1 bull and controlled them. This way all 7 bulls were controlled. And he was able to take his princess for his wife. There was opposition at almost every Swayamvara. You can expect that after one party wins the competition fairly, then the others will attack him anyway and try to take her away. And they'll fight amongst themselves so they can get. Krishna didn't work. They all attacked him, but he was ready, he was prepared. He had weapons of his own, and he defeated them, and he wasn't hurt. The interesting part about the 16,108 princesses, they had been kidnapped by Bhaumasura, big demon. Bhaumasura was so powerful that he was able to conquer the demigods in heaven. He took away Indra's his symbols of royalty, different things he stole away. Earrings of Aditi, she's the mother of the demigods. Indra's throne, so many things were taken. And it was very disturbing to the demigods. They couldn't defeat him. They went to Krishna and begged. Indra at the lead. He said, "We can't defeat this. So we request you to please defeat him. Kill him and give back our royal items." So Krishna said, "Okay." But at that time he mentioned that his wife, one of his wives, Satyabhama, was wanting to get a parijata tree or flower from heaven. And he wanted Indra's approval for that, because Indra's supposed to be in charge of heaven, and things aren't supposed to be taken from his domain unless he gives permission. So Indra said yes, he gave permission. If he said, "If you defeat Bhaumasura, then yes, you can take the project." So Krishna set out with Satyabhama. Generally, one doesn't go to a war or a battle scene carrying his wife with him. But in this case, he did, and they both rode on the back of Garuda. Garuda is the Lord's giant eagle carrier. So they rode very comfortably. And Krishna went to Bhaumasura's place and had to fight several demons before he got to Bhaumasura. There was all kinds of defense mechanisms. They had everything, all poisons fume. They had moats of water. They had animals, fighters, weapons, everything. Krishna broke it all. And finally, he killed Manasura also. Then, that time, he was aware of these princesses. They had all been kidnapped and were being kept by Manasura for his own pleasure. But when he was killed, then Krishna went before all the girls, and they heard that Krishna had defeated Manasura. And he said, now you're free. You can go back to your homes, to your father's palace, and continue your life. But they said, we can't go back. We've been long away from our family, and no Chetru will marry us now. We won't be able to get a husband. So he said, what would you like? They said, we'd like to marry you. They knew Krishna was not ordinary. And they thought, let's marry Krishna. So Krishna accepted all of them as his wives. And Satyabhama, she took credit for it. She said, by my grace, that all these girls got to marry Krishna. So, and then he went over to Indra, and Aditi presented all the stolen items that had been stolen. The earrings, the throne, everything. They thanked him very much. He said, now I'm going to take my Parijata tree from him. He said, no, not possible. Sachi especially was upset. That's his wife, She said, no, how can the Parijata tree go down to earthly planets? Only for those in heaven. She was attached. And so then Indra tried to make some arguments with Krishna. There was quite some back and forth arguments. And finally it got where Indra was reneging on his promise. And it was because of his attachment to Sachi, his wife. So Krishna said, well, I'm going to take it anyway. You can do what you like. And I know you're henpecked by your wife, who is she's the daughter of a demon, actually. She's not a demon, but she came from that lineage, so it was brought up about. And Indra became more upset that Krishna was alluding to the fact that his wife was from a demoniac family. Anyway, they fought, and they weren't really trying to kill each other. That wasn't the goal, because they're family members. Krishna was a member of the royal family in another feature in his form of Vamdev. So they knew that Vamdev was the same as Krishna. So Krishna won. He defeated all the demigods. Demigods all took the side of Indra, because this was a united. We want to uphold the rights of the demigods in heaven. Krishna didn't care for their rights. He took the Parijata tree and went back. He also took the throne, the assembly house of Indra, and installed it in Dwarka. So he took a lot of things from there, because he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he wanted them that his place on earth would be even more glorious than heaven. When he comes to this earth, It's more glorious than even Indra's palace. Indra's opulence. Dwarka was more opulent than that. This assembly house, anyone who went inside the assembly house would not be affected by old age, disease, or death. That was a nice feature of that assembly house. All right, let's read the next text. That's it. Aya, Ditsu Archa, Dutu Arte, Jrada, Signo, Shanda, Kridamago, Translation. Just as is doing about that. That's true. Just as just like lives, like as he was, and the Lord was so forced to fight him. So,
The Lord once went to the heavenly planet to present an earring to Aditi, the mother of the demigods, and his wife, Satyabhama, also went with him. There is a special flowering tree called the Parijat, which grows only in the heavenly planets, and Satyabhama wanted this tree. Just to please his wife, like an ordinary husband, the Lord brought back the tree, and this enraged Vajri, or the controller of the thunderbolt. Indra's wives inspired him to run after the Lord to fight, and Indra, because he was a henpecked husband and also a fool, listened to them and dared to fight with Krishna. He was a fool on this occasion because he forgot that everything belongs to the Lord. There was no fault on the part of the Lord, even though he took away the tree from the heavenly kingdom. But because Indra was henpecked, dominated by his beautiful wives like Shachi, he became a fool. Just as all persons who are dominated by their wives are generally foolish, Indra thought that Krishna was a henpecked husband who only by the will of his wife Satyabhama took away the property of heaven, and therefore he thought that Krishna could be punished. He forgot that the Lord is the proprietor of everything and cannot be henpecked. The Lord is fully independent, and by his will only can have hundreds and thousands of wives like Satyabhama. He was not, therefore, attached to Satyabhama because she was a beautiful wife, but he was pleased with her devotional service and thus wanted to reciprocate the unalloyed devotion of his devotee.
Remember this, especially in the case of Satyabhama, because her behavior is quite, she's very intense, makes demands of Krishna. She wanted to be recognized as the main wife, number one wife of Lord Krishna. And the competition was especially between herself and Rukmini. Rukmini was the first wife of Krishna. So, and she was very qualified, as we read the other day. She's the goddess of fortune herself. She's Lakshmi. And her qualities are wonderful. Very submissive, never arguing with the Lord, always agreeable, always happy. Very wonderful quality, Rukmini. But Satyabhama has different qualities, very fiery. If she doesn't get what she wants, she goes into the, it's called the sulking room. Sulking room. That was for princesses or queens. If they were having difficulty, They would go there and lie on the floor. And that was a signal to the king that something's wrong. And she needs some attention. So happens many times throughout the Vedic literature. The princess goes to the sulking room of the queen. So she'd go to the sulking room. It would never, her jewelry would be in disarray, her clothes would be, and she was crying. So Krishna came in very gently, my dear beloved, what's wrong? This is also the way that Kaikeyi got her way with the father of Lord Ramachandra, Dasharath. All right. She used the same tactic that I thought so anyway, Satyabhama said, I thought I was you tell everyone that I'm your favorite queen, but you don't show it. In practice, Rukmini got the Parjatala and I didn't get. So I want your permission that I can commit suicide. I know I can't do it without your permission, so please give me permission. I can't live like this, not being. So anyway, she went on criticizing him. So things he had done wrong in her mind. And the only way it could be corrected was to get the Parijata flower. She only asked for a flower, but Krishna said, I'll give you a whole tree. Then she was happy. That's a little bit of the background.
Okay, so let's see the next text. Can we see the Sanskrit? Sutam mridekam vapushagra santam drishva sunabod matitham daritriya amantritastat tanayaya shesham dattva taranta puram avishesha. Tarakasura, the son of Daritri, the earth, tried to grasp the whole sky, and for this he was killed by the Lord in a fight. His mother then prayed to the Lord. This led to the return of the kingdom to the son of Narakasura, and thus the Lord entered the house of the demon. Purport. It is said in other Puranas that Narakasura was the son of Dharitri, the earth, by the Lord himself, but he became a demon due to the bad association of Bana, another demon. An atheist is called a demon, and it is a fact that even a person born of good parents can turn into a demon by bad association. Birth is not always the criterion of goodness, unless and until one is trained in the culture of good association, one cannot become good. So this we see quite often, that association is one of the most kind of pronounced factors in the development of a person's character, or that this association develops their character, and then the fruit of that character are demoniac or righteous or virtuous activities. So actually Hiranyakashipu describes the association as like, it's like a type of like a prism or like a crystal, that it reflects whatever is there around it. So basically speaking is that it means that you are who you spend your time with, or you develop qualities with those who you spend your time with. And Prabhupada makes a point here, a philosophical point in the purport, based on this information from the text, that this demon was born and by bad association he became demoniac. So he became atheistic. So similarly, this Dharti is compared to, or is contrasted with Bana, that he had birth from high parentage from this Dhartri, Darit, Daritri, I think it is. And then he associated with this demon named Bana. So Bana was a great demon, Banasura. And he was atheistic. So we should take from this the philosophical warning that not just based on birth can we determine whether somebody will be virtuous or not. And Prabhupada uses a statement, unless and until, which means that there's a phrase which means, or there's a Sanskrit shloka which states that by birth, everybody is a Shudra. And actually by that Shudra birth is more or less like neutral in one sense. It's actually part of the Vedic Varnashram Dharma system. But then when one associates with atheists or sinful people, malechas, yavanas, persons who are outside of the Vedic culture and break the regular principles, then they even go down. That's like us. That's like us in the West. So we were born into families who had no knowledge of the Vedic culture or righteous behavior, and were engaged in sinful activities. So we learned those habits. And similarly, persons who are born of so-called high birth in different places in the world, so-called brahmanas, are also born Shudras and then indoctrinated into sinful activities also. So unless and until one receives training in the culture of spiritual life and the culture of goodness, then he is not to be called a brahmana or otherwise, but a brahmabandhu, which means a friend. So Prabhupada makes this point in the first canto, where in the purports, where basically this Ashwatthama, he is the son of a brahmana, and Draupadi kind of gives him the credit for being a brahmana. She gives him some respect as a brahmana because he's the son of a brahmana. But technically, he is a son of a brahmana. So that we can afford him, or that we can describe. Now, that's not a lie. That's the truth. He is the son of Dronacharya. So that much can be said, but doesn't mean that he himself is a brahmana. And by his actions, he didn't show that at all. And actually, he acted in a very heinous way by killing the sons of Draupadi while they were sleeping, which was even deplorable by his own team. Duryodhana was even upset that he did such a thing, and he wanted to kill the Pandavas. So this is important because in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna doesn't say that it's by birth that one is categorized into the 4 ashrams, but he says Chaturvarnam, how was it? Chaturvarnyam Maya Shrishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasha. Guna Karma. So qualities and work, how they act. So similarly, we are learning to act at the highest platform by associating with the Vaishnavas, who are even above the Varnashram system. Particularly, this is called Sadachar, and this goes hand in hand. How to act, how to be a devotee, how to act like a devotee goes hand in hand with glorifying the Lord and executing devotional service. All right. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.